Well, hello everybody and welcome to our Professional Networker Training Week 2. I hope you are all well and I hope you can all hear me this evening. The aim, like previously for this week, is to develop our skills as we go through the process of becoming more learned and becoming more competent and confident as we go through our network marketing career. We're going to be covering a few things this evening, but the first thing I want to do is just take you really onto the next slide, which talks about the reviewing of the previous week. What I want to stress here, I suppose part of this comes from being a background in being a teacher, but you know what, people, you'd set them homework and they'd come back the following week and say, oh miss, I haven't done it because, you know, the cat ate it, the rabbit ate it, or something like that. You know what, this is really no different. Don't make any excuses as to why you haven't done the tasks that you're all set to do. Make sure that once you have the tasks in front of you, you do them, because it's really important. So let's have a little look at what we were meant to do after our last meeting a week ago on Sunday. So I hope you've all registered now with QLS Online. I have to stress that's one of the most important things to do, because there's so many tools on there that make your life of building a business so much easier. It's really important. So if you're struggling in any fashion to get there, please contact your sponsor or contact myself and we can help you get that sorted and up and running. But please, that must be really done. What we also review is that you set up your personal recruiting site, and that can be done through the QLS Online site. It's important that everybody downloaded their Flying Start documents, and you would have got access to those documents, of course, if you'd registered with QLS Online, because we're going to go through those this evening. Developing your trial customers, and we're going to really look at how we do that also this evening. And having ordered and started reading your two prominent books, which is Attitude is Everything by Jeff Keller and GoPro by Eric Worre. And I really think, you know, this idea of the vision boards, I think sometimes people really underestimate the importance of goal setting. And what I want you to always think of is the bigger picture. I want you to really think about the dreams and the goals that you've got for 3 to 4 to 5 years time. I want you to think that far ahead, because then what we can do is we can backtrack and break everything down into small components that can help build your business. But the other reason that I think it's important to always look at the bigger picture is it's for you to ask yourself, you know, what are you going to sacrifice in the short term in order to actually get the long-term gain? There has to be sacrifices. Whether it be sacrifices of how much time you sit down with your loved one in the evening, whether it be sacrificing their birthday, whether it be sacrificing a weekend away, whatever it might be, you've got to think about the sacrifices that you take in the short term that are going to give you that absolute freedom in the long term. And the other thing really with goals is it's a constant ongoing process. You know, your goals will change as your business changes. Your goals right now might be to put an extra £500 in your pocket per month. But you know what, when you're bringing in £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 a month, that's not going to be your goal. Your goal is going to be bigger. Your goal is going to be incorporated into that business and, of course, into that income stream. So always remember that your business will change as you change, as you develop. And that actually, believe it or not, is a really exciting part of the process. So let's, ensure that we really are working on those dreams and those visions at all times. You know, there's things that you're going to do that you think, oh, you know what, I've had an experience today. I really want to pop that on my board. I really want to see myself doing that. You know, this is what we mean. They all change. You add to them all the time. As you grow bigger with confidence and with knowledge, your goals will grow bigger also. So what we're going to do this evening, we're going to look at the Flying Start program, and that simply is exactly what it says on the tin. It's how to give you a flying start in building your business and building momentum, as that's one of the most important parts of business, getting that energy into your business and maintaining that. We're also going to look at the manager plan, because really right from the off, you should be looking at building your business in accordance with the manager plan, because really getting to the manager position is where everything in this business happens. So let's focus on that this evening too. And of course, your 7-day plan, something that you should be doing, something you should be focusing on every single week to do your 7-day plan, focusing on doing your daily activity. And I have to be honest that, without the plan, your results are going to be really, really challenging for you. So let's focus on those 3 things this evening. Now, to start off with them, we're going to look at the business cycle. And if any of you were on the call with Emma Cooper on Sunday, I did also post a training on a number of the team pages. You know what? She's incredible to listen to and to take, absolute copious amounts of notes from. But one of the things that really came from her training, and I absolutely 100% endorse, it's about being knowledgeable. She openly says that she could do a business presentation without any tools whatsoever. She says that she could describe the marketing plan by taking a napkin and a pen to you. Now, okay, that comes to all of us with experience. But what I want to put out there to everybody is, are you learning your business? Are you learning what it is that you need to know? Because you know what? The cycle of this business is so simple. There's an absolute simplicity to this. And what you need to do is become really familiar with the process. Just because this business is simple, as in the cycle, sometimes I don't think people give it the respect it deserves. Don't underestimate that simplicity. Learn this, teach this, coach this to your teams, and it really will give you the lifestyle that you want and your team members want also. It really is simple. Who do you know? Contacting, showing, following it up with the bigger picture, and then taking action and planning. And of course, we all know that unless you've got an absolute why, it's quite difficult to go around that business cycle. And that's where from week 1, the idea of all the dreams and the goals really came in. What we're really going to focus on there this evening is the first 2 components of that, the who do you know list and the contact and showing. The business presentations and the planning, of course, will come in later weeks. But one of the things that I always say to everybody with this business cycle, and I do it exactly this way myself, and I'll give you an example of even today I did it, is that you need to know what the objective of every single contact with every person is going to be. Now, I spoke to a cold market contact yesterday. She gave me a call today. And my objective, even on my profile sheet, before she'd even called me, was my objective is to send her the 4-minute video. Why had I given that objective? Because I know that she's very, very busy. Do I think that I could send her a 40-minute presentation and sit down and watch it? I really don't think so, because of the time constraints that she's got. However, my objective of that call today was to ensure that she had a 4-minute video. Because I knew from the outset what that was, what my objective was, of course, that is what happened. So learn this business cycle. There's 5 components to it. Who do you know? How do we contact and show? The business presentation, the action, and why. So we're going to be working on the 2 components of that this evening. Now, it might surprise you, but there are really 3 types of prospectors. Those prospectors as in the person who does the prospecting. People like you and I. Now, what's really interesting with this is that, you know what, I don't think many of you sitting here on the call this evening, because you're new to the business, will be thinking that you love to prospect. You know what? Love to prospect is somebody who embraces the concept. They learn the words. They reach out, they engage, they create relationships, they're passionate, they're charismatic people. And I'll be really honest with you, but most of us don't fall into that category when we first start our business. We fall into it as you become more competent. You fall into it as you become more confident and more knowledgeable, and you embrace that knowledge and you become learned as you go along. But to start off with, most of us do not fall inside that category. But there are people, trust me, that love to prospect. They love to build that relationship. They love to find out about somebody else. They love to listen and learn. And they really want to be involved in that person's life, as in they want to find out about them. The second category are those that are uncomfortable, but they do it anyway. Now, that might be the majority of people that start their forever business. You know what? They know they've got to do it. They know they've got to contact people. It makes them feel uncomfortable, but they also know that they have to do it in order to fulfill their dreams and the goals that they want. It's completely out of their comfort zone. They might feel that they don't know all the answers. They may feel that they're not connected with their journey and forever at that particular moment in time. And basically, they'll do okay, but they won't necessarily set this world alight. So I would say to you, if you're in this second category, you know what? Become comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's okay. It's pretty darn normal. But what I'd like to say to you all is that be proud that you are doing it anyway. Even if it really is making you uncomfortable, be chuffed with yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back that you are doing it anyway. What I'll also do is I'll also give you a little bit of a tip here, an insight, is to say that you might start off in the second category, but as you develop your knowledge, you develop your confidence, you develop your skills, then you'll move up into the first category. And then you've got the third person who doesn't like prospecting whatsoever. That means they won't pick up the phone, they won't send a text, they won't send a message. They're just simply not prepared to contact. Probably because it's either something they don't want to do because of a fear factor, because of a mindset issue, and because it's completely out of their comfort zone. What I'd really say to you is that if you fall into that category, you know what? Success will be really limited. It really will. So what I want you to do is I want you to, first of all, be really honest with yourself here. I want you to think, which category do you fall into? Are you a person that loves to prospect? And I'm not going to be frightened whatsoever if people in this call this evening turn around and go, nope. Even if 100% of you said, nope, I don't love it. What I'd say to you, though, is that I'm pretty confident that 100% of you would say, actually, it makes me uncomfortable at times, but I do it anyway because the long-term goal is too important to me. I've got too much of a desire to let a fear factor get in the way. So think about that. Think where you are in regards to that prospecting. And then, of course, we've got 3 types of prospects. So these are the people that we're looking at. I think really what I want to do here is I want to, I suppose, help you understand that we may expect that all of our prospects, 100% of them, are going to say yes to us. We may feel that all of our prospects should be as committed as we are. They should see the business like we see it. They should be attending everything that we attend. You know what? And sometimes it becomes pretty much of a shock when people realise that, you know what, there are people out there not like you and don't want to join initially. And what I'm here this evening to say to you is that that's okay. It really, really is. And I think by looking at these 3 types of prospects, it will really help you understand that a lot more. So we've got people that really are looking for something now. They're what we call very interested. In other words, they're very open-minded. They may be disillusioned in their career, in their industry, in their life. They may be curious about what we do. They may be open to having a look. And really, when you've got all the attributes and concepts as that, then it means that they're very interested in looking at what you have to offer. Then you've got people that are quite interested. So what this really means is that you're approaching people with your business or your products, but they actually didn't really know they were interested until you spoke to them. They didn't really think they were looking for anything until you approached them with your forever opportunity. They may be people that have an okay job. They may be people that are happy, but you know what? They're not really ecstatic about their life, but they've got an okay life, but it isn't the life of their dreams. In other words, they sort of bumble along and meander along in the norm, but they're quite curious. They may be quite laid back. They may have no sense of urgency whatsoever, but you know what? You're opening their minds. These are the people that you may send a link to, and yet a week later, you're still saying to them, you know, did you watch it? Did you watch it? Did you watch it? Whereas the very interested would have watched it really before you'd even sent it. And just be mindful that's okay. We've got the very interested people, we can turn those around really quickly. And we've got the quite interested. These again are people that will follow you, will watch what you do, will look at the journey that you're on. And then we've got those people that basically we communicate with, but they say no to us. And what I'd say to you probably in the early days is that it's these people that will disappoint you. You will take it personally. You might even have a tear over it. But what I'd say to you is experience portrays to me that you don't need to do that. It's not a personal reflection upon you. What I would say to you with these people is that you thank them for their time. You thank them for taking the time to reply to you or take your call or message you back. You engage with them. You put them in your diary for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, who knows, 10 months' time. And you keep in touch. You keep in touch by sending the on message, how are you? How are the kids? How's the holiday? Oh, I saw on Facebook you had a great holiday. You went to Florida. How was it? You know what? You don't necessarily have to talk about business whatsoever. This is about keeping in touch. And trust me, they'll watch you. They will be absolutely engaged by you. Oh, bear with me. I thought I turned all these off. Sorry about that, team. I thought I turned everything off there. So really, these are the people that you thank them for their time. And what we'll do later is we'll actually share with you. I mean, I had a lady today, that said blatantly, no, not interested in finding anything out. And that's fine. All I did was I just thanked her for her time. And we had a little bit of a chit chat after that. But you know what? What you need to do is you need to take the fear out of what you're doing. And you can take the fear out of what you're doing when you know the 3 types of people that you are looking for and prospecting. What you need to do is ensure that you're doing your activity every single day, because you will cover all 3 categories of people. You will find people that are absolutely ecstatic at what you have. You will find people that are fairly interested, and you will find people that will say no thank you, but you know what? Keep them in touch. It's absolutely paramount. So let's work on then the who do you know list. I think sometimes this is really underestimated. The who do you know list is part of your first steps to manager for an absolute reason, and that is because it's one of the first steps you need to take in order to build a business. And I would go as far to say, especially in the early days, it's the most important part of your business. I'm always honest as well when I say, you know what, over the years, I've developed different techniques, if you like. I've developed different styles. But one of the things that I won't do now is I won't work with anybody that does not have a list or has not even committed to making a list. And one of the great things, again, from the QLS is that one of the videos that we can send to our new FBOs is about setting up their who do you know list prior to our first planning meeting. So it's all there for us that they should come to that first planning meeting absolutely prepared with everything that they need. So your who do you know list is this absolute, it's worth thousands to you. It really, really is. And I don't want you to just think that it's a piece of paper with a few things on. If you think that this database of information is worth thousands to you, maybe people will take it more seriously. I think the other thing as well today is that with more platforms that we have, such as social media platforms, when I first started, I really think I had about 27 names on my list because, and we'll go on to this in a minute, I prejudged a lot of them. But, with social media platforms that we have today, it's not unusual for people to have 500, 1,000 names, even just on one platform of Facebook. So really, you should be able to sit down and create at least 100 names, if not to 200 names, in your first who do you know list. I would also say to you, it's really important to think about the UK and globally. So think about, empty your head of everybody that you know locally to you or in the UK. And then ensure that you make a list of people that are global, because that in itself is really important. We trade in 155 countries now. You can have a business anywhere in this world. So ensure that you are thinking globally as well. One of the things, again, that's in the First Steps to Manager booklet, which is crucial, is the memory jogger. It really is, because, you know, it will get you to think about people that you worked with, people that you did work with, people that you do work with. It will get you to think about dentists, doctors, vets, nurses. It will get you to think about everything. It will go through certain occupations that will jog memories. And you will be amazed using this memory jogger how many additional names that you can put down on your list. And I would say to you, really, when people say to you, who do you know? Don't say nobody, because we all know that's rubbish. Because when somebody says, I don't know anybody, typically one of the first things that I do is I'll go straight to their Facebook and say, well, apparently, according to this, you know 479 people. So, you know, you've got to take this exercise really, really seriously. And going on to that concept of prejudging, sadly, I think it can be a mistake that too many people make. You know, this is, as we said, about emptying your head out, putting all the names down on a piece of paper. And if you don't know the number of the contact details, don't worry about that at the moment. Put their name down, because the way that the law of attraction of this universe works, that will come to you. It will appear once you've put their name down. But, you know, prejudging, it really is this idea that it's your perception on another person's reality. And Jane Leach will openly tell you, that many, many years ago, there was a lady that she was at a BP. She'd recently become manager. She will, by her own admission, say she was rather cocky about it. She'd invited a number of guests along to that BP in the evening, and she was getting to around about 10 to 8, and they hadn't arrived. She kept looking at the back door thinking they'll be here soon, and in walks a particular lady. Now, Jane Leach knew this lady. She knew her very well, but she wasn't on her who do you know list. The reason that she wasn't on her who do you know list is because Jane prejudged the fact that she had a nice home. I think she had something like a 500-acre farm. She had show horses. She had a beautiful home. She had the cars that Jane wanted to drive. So many different things that Jane thought, what on earth would she want this business for? She's got the dream life. But one evening, this lady does walk in. And when she eventually gets chatting to her, she says that she found out about the products because she'd met a man at a fair who got talking with her, had a stand. One of her horses, a show horse, had quite a serious skin injury. So the gentleman started talking to her about that. She was blown away by the products. She bought the products, she used the products, absolutely loved them. And in a innocuous conversation, the gentleman asked, maybe you want to have a look at the business because it might support cost of horses and running the horse yard, of which, of course, she was absolutely delighted with. So, from that perspective, she looked at the business. She went on to become manager. And with that, she didn't sort of come from a manager point of view, if you like, that, I suppose the best way to put this, with all due respect to her, was a huge manager business or higher up in the marketing plan. However, she was a good, solid manager. And Jane's worked out that, over the last 20 years, she's probably lost around about £1,000 per month because of this lady. So over that time, Jane will openly say she's lost over £250,000 by not asking this lady. So for her, it was a costly exercise, but she learnt from it. And so do we all. Don't prejudge. Prejudge if you do, at your peril. If you can afford to lose £250,000, then, as we say, crack on. But I think you'll find that actually this is a great learning curve for every one of us to write down every person that we know. Even if you think about their attributes, think about who's a people person, who's happy, who's fun, who's honest, who's open-minded, who do you just love being around, who's lush, who's got that infectious personality about them, who's passionate about anything and everything. Write down those people's names. And as we said about globally, you can have a business in any country. So think about where you've been. Think about the hotels that you've stayed at. Think about the people that you've met there, the staff. Think about fellow holidaymakers that you met that you probably kept in touch with, or you might have exchanged telephone numbers with, but you never followed it up, or exchanged emails, but you never emailed each other with your holiday photographs. Think of all of those components. So what I'd like everybody to do this evening is I'm going to do a little exercise with you. And I want you all, because you should all obviously have your pieces of paper and a pen at hand, is what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down the first name and the surname of 2 people that you haven't spoken about the business to yet. These 2 people could be good quality people. They could be people who've been made redundant. They could be friends. They could be family. They could be somebody that's ambitious. All I want you to do is just write down their first name and their surname, but I want you to write down 2 people. And let's have a little exercise. Because one of the great ways to expand a Who Do You Know list is using this idea of frogs. Friends, recreation, organisation, geography, and same name. So what I want to do is I'm going to share with you a way of expanding your list. So the first part is friends. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example that the name that I have down on mine is a lady called Liz Parr. Now I went to school with Liz, but she's on my list. And I'm just going to use this as an example to share with you. So the first one of frogs is friends. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to think, do I know of any other friends called Liz? Or I suppose I could think of Lizzie or Elizabeth. So the first name that's on your list, think of anybody else that you know that's your friend that has the same name as the person that's on your list. And you'll do exactly the same for the surname. So her surname is Parr. Do I know anybody else that has the same surname as Parr? Well, I actually do, because I think about it now that the house that my mum and dad bought when we were around about 11, they bought their house from Mr. and Mrs. Parr. And I actually went to school with the 2 daughters that are no relation to Liz. So even there we go. I've actually written 2 names down from this list. So just think, do you know anybody in that social circle, if you like, that's got the name Liz or Parr? And that can be for anything. It's like if you've got somebody that's got the name William or surname of Williams, you know, who else has somebody that's the same surname or the same forename in your friends and family circle? So write those down. The next one is for recreation. So think about how is it that you know that person. Think about the things that they'll do outside of work. So let's say, for example, Liz, absolutely, I know her because she keeps fit. So what I'd then like to do is think, well, who else do I know that keeps fit? Who else do I know that, you know, is always talking about Pilates or yoga or working out at the gym or getting a sweat on or does a marathon or likes to horse ride or likes to go skiing, anything like that. Think about how do you know that person and then expand your list. Well, who else do I know that's in that remit? Then the next one would be organisation, and tendency for this one, the easiest way to think about this is to do with work. Many years ago when I first came across frogs, it wasn't actually called organisation, it was called occupation. And I think that might be another way to refresh your memory on this. But, you know, what organisation do they work with? What type of occupation do they have? What industry they work within? Are they self-employed? Are they employed? Who else do you know that works in that type of line of work or industry? So if, for example, Liz works in insurance, who else do I know that works in insurance? Well, you've got to think there, that's a spot on one to say you all have insurance, whether it be home insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, health insurance, life insurance, whatever it might be. So what about contacting those insurance brokers, those insurance companies, and sharing your business ideas with them? G stands for geography. So that could be who else do you know that lives in the same area as the person that you're talking about? And is there anything that you need to know about their area? Do you know of any Facebook groups, for example, that are in that area? Do you know of any mums and toddlers groups in that area? Do you know of anything that's quite significant to that area, like a little bit of, you know, I don't know, memorabilia or something that's quite, renowned for that area. Do your homework on that geography and think, who else do you know? And then, of course, then the same name is a little bit like the F, but you're expanding it now further afield from the friends. You really are thinking, who else do you come across that would have a similar name to the person that's on your list? How many other people do you know that has the same first name? How many other people do you know that has the same surname or a derivative of that surname? Now, already, I've just done this exercise here. Anybody else that you've written down, anybody else that's come to mind you should be writing down. I've actually, as we've been doing this exercise, I've just added 5 people to my Who Do You Know list. So it's really important that you expand your thinking all of the time. And what I'd say to you is that your Who Do You Know list is a constant ongoing process. It really is. And if you're committed in building your business, you should be adding new names to that list every single day. And that might simply be because you've remembered through doing expansion exercises other people for your list. It also might be because you've met new people. You've gone out during the course of the day, you've done a little bit of contact marketing with somebody and you've exchanged details. So come back and add them to your list. This list, as I said, should be an ongoing process. What I'd also say to you really, before I leave that page, is, take it seriously. One of the days, turn off the TV, get a glass of wine, sit down with a Who Do You Know list, commit to doing it. Commit to writing everybody theirs. Download, and we'll go through this in a minute, areas where you have all of that information together. So let's have a little look then at the social platforms. And what I'd say to you with developing things like your marketing and prospecting strategy and your Who Do You Know list is that social platforms are fantastic. They really, really are. But I'd say to you that, you need to just have your eyes open and realise that they're different platforms. And there's different ways in which they can be used. So, for example, Facebook for me tends to be, more personal. But I wouldn't be putting pictures of my dogs walking along the beach on a sunny day on LinkedIn because that's my professional remit. In the same as, Twitter's my professional remit. Pinterest is obviously things that to do with my goal board and my dreaming and expanding my thought process. So you've got to realise that, we act differently with the different types of social media platforms. So always think, whichever one you're using, and I would say to you, you really should be using a minimum of 3 of these, is make sure they're personalised, make sure that they are used in the manner that they are intended. So this then goes on to downloading your Facebook contacts. Now I'm hopeful that most of you, because I know I've set information previously in the past about this, have done this. This can also be done for WhatsApp, it can be done for LinkedIn, it can be done for Twitter. There are ways in which you can download your Facebook contacts and your social media platform contacts. But if you're not sure, let's just go through a process here. Obviously, if you don't want to necessarily write this down, you want to screenshot it, then please do. But if you go along to the far right hand side of your screen, you'll see a little tiny white arrow. And if you click on there, you'll see the drop down comes in. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to click on settings. And once you've clicked on settings, that will open up a page that will be your general account. What you need to do is go to the bottom of that section there and you'll find the highlighted where it says download a copy. That's where you need to click on them. And what will happen is it will ask you whether you want to start archiving your downloadable list. You'll obviously say yes to that. It will ask you again if that's okay and that's what you want to do, and of course you will say absolutely. Now once that's done, you will receive 2 emails. You'll receive an email which will actually say that the download is commencing, and then you will hear that there is a email that will say the download is complete, and then of course you can go in entering your password for Facebook and it will open up all of your information. And what I'd say to you is that you need to write down and ensure that those Facebook downloads, for example, or the LinkedIn downloads, are all added to your Who Do You Know list. It's really, really important. What I'd also say to you is that, you know, when it comes to things like social media, and I might just slightly digress a little bit here, but always make sure that you know who you're talking to. Because I think sometimes, you know, people can be very guilty of doing a very blatant cut and paste information exercise to them, and there's no personality with it. It's not building a relationship, and it can be very, very generic. It doesn't, it doesn't sort of grab anybody's attention. And what I'd say to you really is that using social, media platforms, ensure that you know the person you find out about them. There's so many things on Facebook, all you need to do is just turn to somebody's page and you can fathom out what they've been doing over the last few weeks. So use it really wisely. Then what you need to do is you need to think about profiling then the first 25 contacts on your list. And the reason for 25 is simply because around about 10 will ask for more information. And these are the real current statistics. So you need to profile 25 people. And I know it's circled there, but you know what? It's so important. Know your objective. Know the reason why you are calling them, first and foremost, but then know what it is that you want to achieve at the end of that call. Do you want to get them in front of you on a face-to-face one-to-one? Or is it that you want to send them a 4-minute video? And what I'd say to you here is a simple piece of advice and a tip. Work out what is going to be best for them. So work out your objective. Think about what it is that you want to achieve, but also think about the time they have. Think about the time that they have available to them. Think about what's best for them. Think from the mindset of what can you do to get that information in front of them that's the best for them. And the way that you'll do that is simply by creating relationships. Because if I've got a teacher, for example, that's doing 90 hours a week, you know what? I've already got that in my head that the best thing for them to do is a 4-minute video. Because they can watch that 4-minute video while they're stirring the pasta on the hob. They can watch that 4-minute video while they're just setting up all their books ready to mark on that evening or to plan. I know that a 40-minute video sent to them is not going to work because of their busy lifestyle. So think about who it is that you're talking to and think about their lifestyle. Think about what's the best concept for them. And what I'd also say to you is you don't have to worry at all about, any of the questions that they're going to give you off the back of that. Because one of the things about the QLS Online is it's all templated for you. It's all there for you. And we'll be going through that in a moment. I think one of the key things already that I'm hoping that people are picking up on is that, you've got to be proactive. You can't just think, let me put it like this, you can't be reactive. You can't think that, people are going to come to you. You can't think your business is going to come to you because it's not. You've got to be proactive in what it is that you're doing, but you've also got to be proactive in your learning. Because I would expect from today that if I said to every single one of you in 6 months' time, I want you to do a one-to-one with me, but blindfolded. Or I want you to do a one-to-one, but I don't want you to have any tools in front of you. You should be able to do that. And I think one of the, digressive points that I'm just going to put here is that I think sometimes people hide too much behind their computers. I think that people are not developing the skills that they really need. And they're becoming too reliant on technology. And what I'd say to you now is just be honest with yourself that if your computer packed up forever and ever this evening, would you be able to know where you were with your business? Would you have the handwritten copies of everything? Have you got your who do you know list? Have you got your 7-day plan on a piece of paper? Because I think that way then you'll realise that, you don't need all of this technology to be dependent on building your business. So confidence, I suppose, is key with this as well, which goes hand in hand. And it's one of those circles, I suppose, that the more you do, the more confident you become. And of course, the more learned you are, then the more confident you become. And that impacts your business grows, because you almost got that point of mentally being completely unstoppable. You know, nothing's going to faze you whatsoever. So what I think is really important is one of the pieces of homework from previous week was downloading your pieces of paper. And I've got them in front of me here. You might be able to hear them. And what's really important about them is that, you know what, it's all there. Take that time to learn the words, learn about your business, learn about your industry, learn about what makes you tick, learn where you are in your business with your mindset. It's really important. But what I say to you when you're building any sort of team is that in network marketing, you know what, we're really, really lucky, because we can earn, if you like, while we learn. We don't have to go on courses and not actually do anything until we've really got our craft. We can earn as we go on. So what I want to think about here is I want to think about how we contact people. And as we said previous week, you know, these messages here are fantastic. They're not really to be mucked around with, but it's about learning how to send a message and to learn how to have that craft. What I would also say is that find out about people. And as I said to you about, you know, Facebook, go onto their pages and see what they've been up to over the last few weeks. And just think about where you are, where they are in their lives. One of the things, again, I'll just slightly digress. One of the things that I've been doing of late, and I found really, really significant results, is that instead of even people that I know really well, instead of Facebook messaging them, I don't know if many of you are aware, I hope you are, but maybe you're not, and so this is something new for you this evening, is that if you go into your Facebook messaging, there is actually a little microphone, and you can hold that down and you can send a verbal message. And the reason why I think that that's becoming far more credible and getting better results is because I think they can literally put a voice to a name, to a picture. There's something personal about it, and I think that's having a huge knock-on effect. So what I want you to think about at all times is, you know, how can we help somebody? And you'll do this with your Who Do You Know list when you start your business. How can we help somebody? What can we do for them? Not what they can do for us. What can we do for them? So, for example, let's just say that somebody's been on holiday via Facebook and they've had a lovely week, but you can tell that they've gone back to work now. You can tell by some of the comments they weren't happy that the alarm was set and it's got off, and Monday morning was a bit miserable and dreary. You know what? Contact them and just say, you know, hi, how are you? Hope you had a lovely holiday. I can see from the pictures on Facebook, absolutely gorgeous. Wasn't the weather lush? I hope you had a great time. I'm sure the kids absolutely loved it. And I can see obviously you've gone back to work now, so I hope that's okay. But I'm wanting really to see if you've got a moment. I just want to see if I can run something by you. Now, how simple is that? All you've done is that you've just engaged in a conversation with them. And what you're doing technically is when you say, I just want to see if I can run something by you, is that you're asking for their permission to continue. And I'm finding that that in itself is so, so important. In the same way, let's say someone was building an extension and, you know, you message them, you've been following some of the pictures on Facebook, you message them saying, do you know what, your extension looks absolutely blooming awesome. Really impressed with it. Looks terrific. Can't wait to come and visit it. But I tell you what, the cost of it must be absolutely astronomical. I hope you're well, I hope the kids are fine, etc. And that person might come back to you and say, you know what, I'm loving building the extension. I think it's great. The design is beautiful, but we're already way over budget. Now, what that should do is that should ring alarm bells to you and think, well, actually, you've got something that can help them. So again, you approach them and literally say, you know, I found something that could help you. If I send you a 4-minute video, would you take a look at it? Because I think it could help you. And what I don't understand necessarily is that what's so difficult about that? What's so difficult in taking an interest in somebody's life and actually engaging in a conversation, engaging in getting to build a relationship and getting to know them, and actually saying, I may have something that could help you. If I send you a 4-minute video, would you take a look, as I think it could help you? You could use that with any realm. So if I've got somebody that, I know that's got a really awful job, I engage in that conversation. How's the work? How's the kids? How are you? Look, you said to me the other day that, you're really not very happy in your job. I found something that could help you. Now, it's simple as this. If I send you a 4-minute video, would you take a little look at it? As I really think it could help you. What do you think? And it's as simple as that. So don't think about overcomplicating when you're using these example text messages, anything. You've got the example text message here, how are you doing? It's direct, it's to the person that you're talking to. The next one is talking about specifics such as, what you might want to do for future dreams and future goals. And the third one is really that, indirect approach. You're really wanting to ask them, but you think that you'll ask them about somebody else. So it helps sort of skirt around the issue a little bit, but that might be a little bit more comfortable because the type of person, the type of prospect that you are contacting. So think about how you craft your message and simply send it. Always engage though. Always be, your formalities of how are they, how's the kids, how's work, how's the house, how's the dog, how's granny, whatever it might be. Ensure that you engage in that. And if you've downloaded your sheets, everything is here for you. Then the next stage really is when you get a response. And this is very interesting because what you need to then think in your mind is that this is your key then to further the conversation. It's not necessarily to go in with business in Rexmoor's inside leg measurement. It's to just find out more about them. Also find out, what did they like about the 4-minute video, for example. So they come back and say, yeah, I love the 4-minute video. You send it, you liaise with them and you say, right, can you watch that this evening? They say, yes, brilliant. I'll call you first thing tomorrow morning. And I do this in the same way that I do it with the BP. If somebody's had a look at a piece of information that I've sent them, I'll start it off exactly the same way and I'll say, so what did you like the most? What did you like best about it? And if you've got somebody that's in a very, particular situation, let's say they're heavily in debt, I might change the question slightly and I might turn around and say, now can you see by working with me how we can get you out of that debt? Think about how you craft that message for the person that you are talking with. Think about the fact that you're open to them and say, watch it. Watch the 4-minute video. Write down any questions that you've got because I really want to answer your questions. And then I'll be able to show you how you can build your business. Don't be frightened of questions whatsoever. What happens if they say the word no? Well, as I said before, it just means they're not interested at the moment. It might mean that they're not open-minded to look yet. It might mean that it's simply not the right time for them to look. But you thank them for their time. You hope everything is great with them. And then you ask for your referral. So who do you know that'd like to earn an extra £2,000 to £4,000 a month? Again, this is all on your downloadable sheets. Then what do you do with your referral? Well, I'm always really key with this one because I think it's really important as soon as you've got a referral that you do it quickly. Because it's if your new person that you're talking to, the one that you're being referred to, wants to go back to the other person who has referred you, if that makes sense, then it's fresh in their memory as well. So if you've got your referral, make contact. You might say something alongside, and again, it's all on these sheets here. I run my own business alongside a global brand, and we're looking for really, really good people right now. And then what you might want to do is you might want to insert the person's name. So let's say it's a person called Simon who referred this person. And I'll say, Simon speaks really highly of you. And I wonder, if I sent you a 4-minute video, would you be open to watching it? And it's as simple as that. So one of those keys, as I say before, I feel that this is really the ethos of this particular training this evening, is learn your spiel. Learn your industry, learn your one-to-one, learn how to do the planning, learn the business cycle, but learn your lingo. We've all been caught off guard. We've all been asked in the early days of our business, what is it that you do? And we've frozen, we've shriveled up inside our bodies almost like a tortoise, because we're like, oh my life, I don't know how to answer that. And that's where really getting yourself all prepared, getting that, learning your trade is really, really helpful. Be a bit of a dingbat like I was, and, look in the mirror when you clean your teeth in the morning and think about what it is you're going to say. Or when you're looking in the mirror brushing your hair, have a chat with yourself. Hi, I'm Lindsay, blah, 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 blah. Or think about, what you're going to say. I run my own successful business. Have a little bit of a conversation with yourself. Oh, so what is it that you do? Oh, well, actually, I run my own business alongside a major global brand. We're actually looking for really good people at the moment. But say it naturally. I'm being a bit flippant with it, but work it out. Have a bit of a role play with yourself, because the more that you hear the words, the more that you will digest them, and the more it will become part of your own setup and own language. So learn that prospecting jargon. And what you've got to also realise is that we've got tools for absolutely everybody. And what this will help you also do is it will help you create momentum throughout your business and throughout the processes. Now, one of the other things on this downloaded sheet as well is, what can you expect from doing this activity? What can you expect from sending 25 texts out? Or, you can use the spiel, you can use it in a telephone call. Doesn't have to be by a text, you can adapt it to a telephone call. But what are you going to expect? Well, experience, particularly with you've got new FBOs, is that if we send about 25 messages, roughly speaking, 10 people will come back to us wanting to find out more. And that's where you can either send them the 4-minute video or arrange to have a face-to-face one-to-one with them. Now, the reason I say face-to-face primarily is because I still think that is the best way. But I appreciate that people in this world live on different corners of the world, live in different areas of the UK, so the online one is the next best option. And when I say that, I think things have progressed now from, the times when I've did, even last year and the year before. We can do a lot more now with things like GoToMeeting webinars. We can do a lot more with Skype. So we can physically see the person and interact with them online. And I think that's much more proactive than having an online presentation on the screen, but actually, having a phone to your ear and just talking with one another. So 25, then you'll expect 10 people to respond. Of those 10 people who watch your 4-minute video, you'll have a follow-up conversation with. And around about 2 to 4 of those people will want to look at the bigger picture. They'll want to have a BP. And that's where you can send them the 40-minute recorded BP, or you can invite them along in person to a business presentation, or one local to them, or an online one. If you're doing ones in your teams, etc., then that's really the ratio. And of those people who watch the 40-minute video or go to the PP and you have a good follow-up call with them, answering all your questions, 1 or 2 people will join your business. And I will say to you this, 15 people, this is where I'll be in my Carol Vorderman moment here, if 25 people are being contacted and 10 people want some more information, 15 people are going to say no. And what I want you to do is I just want you to expect that. I want you to be positive about it. 15 people are going to say no. And believe it or not, you're looking for them 15 people also, because it means that they're getting closer to the 10 that are going to say they want more information. So just expect that people are going to say no. Don't let it come as a huge shock or a huge surprise to you. It's part of the business building process. Don't let it disempower you. Don't let it make you go and cry. Don't make it, think it's all personal. Have a bit of a light bulb moment with it and say, it's okay. It's part of the business cycle. It's part of the process. And you have to understand that. You have to understand that. It's not any reflection on you whatsoever. And then you can go back to, forgetting about it and think, what, prospecting is fun, focusing on interacting with people and being that passionate prospector. What you also need to do is that you need to mark your results on the tracker. And that's one of the downloadable sheets also. Mark your results out. Mark who's asking for a one-to-one, who's come back to you. Mark down who wants to have that one-to-one with a 4-minute video. Mark who's then gone to the BP. Write some little notes after it. And if you've got those trackers in place, it makes it so much easier to follow up and to know where you are in your business. So I hope really that's made sense there. That's the sheet that we've just referred to. And that's the activity tracker. Now, the next part of the bottom of that sheet is your story. I cannot stress to you how important this is. Because when people ask you what you do, you've got to have a story that hooks them. You've got to have a story that you've taken seriously. You've got to have a story that gives a background. It has to have a challenge. It has to think about what you weren't happy with in life. It then can talk about the solution, and then it can talk about how you're feeling about your future. Now, what I'd say to you is that you can model your story on this example. Find the challenge in your industry. So I, for example, would think about my teaching background. For example, the interaction with the kids was great. It was a great career because, things did go right, and you've got kids that said thanks, and kids that were really appreciative, etc., etc. But I would really go into the challenge. I'd go into the challenge of the hours being really long. I'd talk about the copious amounts of paperwork. It was really stressful. I didn't have a life. I didn't have me time. So think about that with your backgrounds. Think about the fact you could love your job, but with every job comes a challenge. So what is that challenge for you at the moment? Does it have unsociable hours? Does it not pay very well? Does it have really, momentous amounts of stress? Do you have a work-life balance? Think of those things that are the challenges to where you are with your story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to put yourself in a little bit of an uncomfortable position. And on the team pages where you found this particular link, because that's where other managers are looking at after their teams respectively, is I would like you to develop your story. No more than 60 seconds. So this is one of your homeworks, so you might want to jot this down. No more than 60 seconds. But I'm going to ask you to record, and you can do that using your phone or a tablet or a computer. I'm going to ask you to record your story and to pop it on the team page. That way, I think you'll realise that it's a really integral part of your role, part of your job description. So 60 seconds, no more. So you might have to practice it a few times. You might have to write it out. What I'd say to you when you write it out though, try not to read it word for word verbatim when you're doing your recording. Try and let the words flow naturally so that you can learn it. And what I'd say to you also as a bit of a hint is learn your story off by heart. Read it every morning. Read it at lunchtime. Read it in the evening. Take it with you wherever you are, because the more familiar you become with your brand within your story, the better it will be. So that's your one task. The next thing we want to focus on as we come towards the end here is your trial customers. Now, what I want you to think about with your trial customers here is, I still want you to do your pups, get your pup boxes out. I still want you to do your C9. I still want you to go for stalls. I still want you to plan your launches for you and your new team members. But I'm always going to be open and honest about this. Those processes can take about 1 to 2 weeks before you find any results. And I think it's really important, especially with a new FBO, to get them going really quickly and to find their customers really quickly. Now, this has been designed by Jane and a couple of the elite leaders like Angela Lockram, because she's become really, really hot on this, of how to get yourselves, your customers, really quickly. And interestingly, I don't necessarily want you to change anything here, but what I will say to you, as we said previously, this has to be for your hot market. So what we're saying here is that this has to be for family and friends that are really, really close to you. This isn't about bombarding them, but this is about getting that interaction. And what I would say to you is, with any new team member, when you're sitting doing your planning meeting, it is absolutely vital that you do this with them. You do this with them. And I think it was Cora a couple of weeks ago, she actually had a little team building exercise. She invited some of the team around to her home. They sat and all did this, about a group of about, if I remember rightly, 7 or 8 of them. They sat round, they did this, they all sent 20 their messages to their trial customers, and within about 2 hours they'd actually racked up between them £1,000 of business. So this works, but it's got to be with people that you know. It's got to be your close family and friends. And the reason it's got to be the close family and friends is because of what it actually says and how we go about it. You've got to be absolutely passionate about all of your customers. And I think what you've got to think about is Rex Mourn's philosophy. And that really was, right from the very start, it was about getting the finest products into the world, into the houses of people you really care about. It really was, and it still is. So think about who you really care about, that you want them to use the best products in the world. Now, on this page here, I'm just going to do this before I go through the message, is there have been some example packs put together, as in worked out for you, because it sort of covers, if you like, somebody that just wants to look after themselves with a daily personal care, somebody that wants to look after their skin, a sporty person, and maybe somebody that wants to cleanse and actually just feel more energy and feel better within themselves. And what I would say to you is, if this is done correctly, and you do this with your new FBO straight away when it comes to your first planning session, you can get your money back for your box, your business in your box, really within the first 2 days of starting their business. So what I want you to do is, I want you to take this seriously and embrace the activity of this, because the results will be amazing. So what do? Well, if you've downloaded your sheets, the one sheet will say trial customers, and you will have a first example text message, which is simply opening up that conversation. So in this instance, it says, "Hi, Uncle Matt, how are you doing?" And then this is the key port here. "I've got a quick favour to ask, please." And send the message. Or, "Can I ask you a favour, please?" And send the message. Or, "Can you do something for me, please?" And send the message. Once you've done that, usually most people will come back and say, "Yeah, love, what is it? What can I help you with? What can I do for you?" And that's then when you send this message. Do not change it. This has been designed and put together to have the greatest impact. So what you send is this: and it's all down on the downloadables. I'm really excited to have started a great home-based business, but I need help. I have an amazing range of natural products that are great for health and well-being. What I need is 20 trial customers over the next 30 days who will give me true feedback so I can build a successful marketing campaign. Here's how you can help. I need you to buy a trial pack just once and use it for 30 days and then give me your honest feedback. If you don't like it, you never have to buy it again. But if you do, I'll get you a special customer price for life. Can I count on you to be one of my 20, please? So that's it. That's it. Because what that does is it gives the person on the other end the opportunity to say yes or no. And you can adapt these packs slightly. It might be the fact somebody, has always had, and I'm certainly not making any medical claims, I'm just giving you an example. Maybe you've always had somebody that's had trouble with their skin. Well, why don't you put them a little pack together of an aloe jelly, a propolis cream and a soap? You might have had somebody that's always had a skin problem. Why don't you think about what it is that you can do for them? You might find that there's somebody that's, really sporty, and of course we've got the sports pack here, but you might want to put them some, an RG together, or you might want to put them some fab drinks together with some proactive little snack bars. You can do all sorts. But these have been worked out significantly and specifically to give you the highest return. And you will be amazed in 20 trial customers of how you can easily go through 2, 3, even more case credits. So that's where you've got to take that activity seriously. And as we come really to the close of this, you've got to then think about your manager plan. So what are you going to do? Because I have to say to you, March is one of the best months of the year ever. Historically, within Forever. It really is. It's where people have got rid of Christmas. They've scrimped and saved for over Christmas. They've been still a bit skint at the end of January. They've needed January's pay packet to pay for Christmas. And then, of course, they've got February when they can sigh a bit of relief. At the end of February when they've got their pay packet then. So March tends to be one of the best months in Forever. So make your mind up now. Are you going to have a great month as well? Because at the end of the day, manager plan starts today. It really does. So what I want you to think about here, again, these were downloaded, but I want you to think about how you can structure your manager plan. Step 1, use the trial customer sheets. I am very happy to do these with you. So what I'm asking the team that I'm working just directly with at the moment, others can obviously contact their uplines. You can obviously contact the people that are your upline at the moment, but people that I'm working with directly, give me a call or drop me a message and say, actually, I want to send these customer trial text, but can you be online with me, or can you sit next to me when I do them, etc. Let's do that. It's not a problem whatsoever. So what you need to do is you need to start using the trial sheets. You need to message your 20 hot contacts. Okay? You need to do that. Remember, as it says there, for any 20 messages and calls you make, about 12 people will purchase. Then you need to use your flying start sheets. So then you need to write the list of the first 25 warm contacts that you want to share the business opportunity with. And that's where we contact the 25. And we've already broken down roughly how many people would join our team with that. The other thing that you need to do is you need to order your supplementary products and your C9. I will say to you now, the C9 is one of the best ways of developing a business. I think sometimes people might make the mistake that they wait until they've done the C9 to post any information about it. What I'd say to you is that you need to actually share with the Facebook world, for example, before you even start your C9, that that's what you're going to do, that you're excited about it. And what that'll end up doing for you is it'll get you a stream of followers, and you might find that people will want to do it at the same time as you anyway, so they can be on board with you. It's important that you take a picture of yourself before you start. It's important that you share with people, whether it be a video or you write a blog, how is it that you're feeling and how well you're progressing within the Clean 9. And then, of course, take a picture of yourself at the end. It's quite daunting, I suppose, to put pictures of yourself all over Facebook, especially if you've got a bikini on or your swimsuit while you're getting measured for your Clean 9. But you know what? It's incredibly important because people will trust you. People will follow you, people will watch what you're doing, but they'll know you've got integrity because of what you're doing. When it talks about supplementary products, that might mean 1 or 2 pup boxes, so you can get those out and you can distribute those also to neighbours, to friends, to colleagues, to people that you know that will trial the products for you. And one of the things really important here is one of the things that I learned from Emma Cooper's training the other day is that we say really it's about looking after 20 to 25 regular customers and looking after them well. It may surprise you to know that Emma Cooper's customer base is 14, 1, 4. She has 14 regular customers month in, month out. Now they would do around about 5 case credits for her in retail because she's looked after them, because she may have sent them a little gift when it was their birthday or sent them a gift after, 4 or 5 months of them ordering regularly just to say thank you. So think about how those pups and how building that retail base can be really important for you. And then step 4, what you'll find is that you developed your trial customers. So let's just say they had the daily care pack, which I haven't got it off the top of my head because I think it's on the previous screen. But I think off the top of my head, that was around about £39 for that pack. So that's bringing you in 2 to 3 case credits. If you purchase your C9 or your FITS, well, if you purchase your FITS, it's over the 1 case credit. In your supplementary products, there's that. That goes onto your own personal retail number. And of course, then you're bringing in 2 new recruits. That's your 4 CCs. So believe it or not, you're doing around about 7 to 8 case credits in March. Now, I know there's some of you on this call going, oh, my life, I have difficulty doing half a case credit. And all I'm going to say to you is that that's because your mentality. There's nothing else stopping you. This plan works. So if this plan works, what are you really frightened of? Are you frightened of people saying yes and then worrying what you do with them? Are you frightened of people saying no and then worrying what you do with yourself? Are you frightened of being successful? Are you frightened of achieving? But what I'd say to you is that, fear is pretty normal in this business. But really don't let it stop you because there really is no need. These systems work. If, of course, you work the system. So, that really is your first month planned. You should be going out there as of this evening and starting your trial customers. You should be messaging and profiling really correctly 25 people off your Who Do You Know list. And you should be using a 1 cc minimum of the products yourself every single month. So how do you do that? Well, plan. It's so important to plan your 7-day activity. I plan mine every Sunday. I've normally done it by around about 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, but I plan my activity. I don't go to bed and an evening unless I know exactly what I'm doing the next day. So I might plan my 7 days, but I still look at it on a 1 day by 1 day by 1 day process. So when I go to bed, I know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it the next day. I don't want to wake up on that morning and go, right, so what am I doing today? And waste time faffing around, working out what it is that I need to do. So plan, 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 plan. Then you've got to do. And by doing is where your results will come from. I'm afraid if you're not going to do, you're not going to get anywhere in this business. So do what you have promised yourself to do on your activity sheet and track what it is that you're doing. Track the people that have come back saying, yes, I'd love to be a trial customer. Track those people that have said, yes, we want the 4-minute video, please. And then what you need to do is you need to share your results. What, percentage, if you like, statistic are you working on at that moment in time? And when we talk about your points, we need to ensure that you're filling in your activity sheet. So you should be giving yourself points for everything that you do. And you can see at the top there, 50 points. That's the pride. That's the least you should be getting just for your sheer pride every single week. So we've said here, if you add 2 names to your Who Do You Know list, that's a point. If you do a one-to-one with somebody, that's 3 points. So of course, if you do 2 one-to-ones on Monday, then that's 6 points in total. If you send the video, if you follow up, if you attend your business presentation yourself, and if you get a guest, then of course that's 6 points in total. When it says you sponsor the assistant supervisor, you do the planning meeting, when it says you duplicate frontline distributor, that means that your person that you have recruited also then starts to recruit assistant supervisor. So you're duplicating with them what you have done with them, if that hopefully makes sense. So there are so many different things, but you know what? One of the things that I really want to point out very, very quickly on this sheet here is the highest points go to attending a success day or another training. You might think, well, why? And I will tell you absolutely why now. You can go to all the trainings in the world with this business. If you sit there with the mentality that I've been to one training so that therefore I've heard it, if I've been to one BP and therefore I've heard it, then you're very much mistaken. Because learning your trade, as we said right from the very start, is so, so important. And I remember having, I would say probably 10 years in this business. And I moved down south, and I remember going for, I think it was about the 3rd or 4th occasion, going to my local BP. And I remember meeting a gentleman, and he was doing a slot on a business presentation. Now, bearing in mind, I've given my own business presentations for the last 10 years. But you know what? He said something in that business presentation that really blew me away. And what it did was it made me realise, oh my life, this business is so simple. That I'd been overcomplicating it, or I'd been thinking about it in a really complicated fashion. You know what? From that moment, when I was doing one-to-ones and I was talking to people initially about the business, I heard his voice constantly in the back of my head, and I would say the words he said, and the amount of people that would get it. So what happens if I hadn't have gone to that meeting on that night? What happens if I hadn't have heard somebody say the same thing but just happened to be said in a different fashion? So please don't think that just because you've been to one, you don't need to go to any other. And one big success factor with any entrepreneur, any successful person in this world, from any industry, is that they never stop learning. They are always a work in progress. Which makes me add, another question to you. What are you reading for half an hour before you go to bed tonight? Are you reading a trashy magazine? Are you catching up on a bit of gossip? Or are you reading something that's going to have really extensive input to you? It's going to benefit you. So think about what you put for yourself and how you help yourself. So if you want to screenshot this, you can do. But what I'd like to do is just finish off now with this final slide and talk about your homework. So, the Who Do You Know list. I would like, please, a Who Do You Know list now to be developed. That you should be having at least 300 people on that Who Do You Know list. And as I said with these 60-minute videos, 60 minutes, 60-second videos, What I want you to do is I want you to screenshot your Who Do You Know list, and I want you to put it on the page where you received this link. I want you to plan your next few days activity. Now, the reason I say few is because I really work from Monday through to Sunday, and I think most people do. So what I'd certainly expect you to do this evening is print off your 7-day plan and ensure that you've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday's activity down on there. And I want to see pictures of those, please. Or your respective team leaders will see your pictures. Developing your 20 trial customers. Put yourself out there. Start sending them messages. Don't, as I said, change the message. It's been designed perfectly for it to have the greatest impact. Building your team. You know, if you're working very part-time in this business, you should still be contacting 3 to 5 people per day. Full-time, 5 to 10 people per day. Attend your local BP. So find out, you should know when that is anyway. There shouldn't be anybody on this call this evening that does not know where their local BP is. You should be putting that in your diary every week as if it's an absolute done deal. You need to ensure, and please take pictures of it, your Success Weekend ticket. So get those from Forever UK Tickets, £30 for the Saturday or £30 for the Sunday or £50 for both days. You should be there for both. Obviously, I appreciate that sometimes people have commitments such as family, etc., but that's really, really very important. Get your trainings and your webinars in your diaries and work things around that. Those have got to be in there. If you want information on how to get yourself organised with your accounting, then you can contact DSL that will help you organise what it is that you need to do and also complete your point sheets. So that leaves me to say thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. I hope that that is of a huge help to everybody. I'm sure that there were lots and lots of notes that were written down. If you haven't downloaded your sheets of the QLS, you need to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave week 3 open up to a little bit of discussion because I hope to do it next week, bearing in mind people's agendas. But I know that there'll be many of us at the QLS Day on the 20th of March, which I'm incredibly excited about. I certainly know that there are some great speakers lined up for you. So if I don't speak to you personally before then, I'll speak to you as a team training, but you need to make sure you're taking paper, excuse me, and you are taking pens. You'll be writing loads. So that leaves me to just say thank you very much indeed for your time and have a great evening, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.